Hello, my friend, and welcome to this live stream or audio podcast. It depends where you consume this content. And today we have interesting topic about technical SEO because it's very important today to optimize your website. It's the foundation of SEO, and many websites that have technical errors can't get SEO ranked positions. They usually fail. So today we are going to extend more about that, and I'm excited to discuss this topic with Olivian Breda. How are you?
I'm fine, Anatoly. Very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Sunny day, good day, positive mindset. So yeah, and I'm excited to learn more about technical SEO. I know that it's very important. I don't want to tell that some topics are more important than others, but I know 20% of users can leave websites for a few seconds because of site speed, of many other technical errors, and people have no time to wait when you have some technical errors. It's better to them to choose other websites. So that's why I'm excited to learn more about that. Before we start, just tell more about your SEO experience, background, and why you decided to share with us about technical SEO.
Okay, I wanted to first answer the previous questions. How I am. A friend of mine used to answer like this: excellent and going better. So I'm both excellent and also going better. I think your reply was in that sense. So my name is Olivian Breda. I'm from Romania. I currently live by the seaside, and also to the question, how am I? I just went to the beach this day, and in the morning. Right now in Romania, it's evening. Um,
Mhm.
I work as a freelancer in search and optimization. I've been doing this for more than 10 years. So I think that after a few years, it doesn't matter if you have 15 years or 5 years. It's after a while, the numbers just keep growing and the experience develops. So I'm mostly focusing on SEO. I also have some knowledge on WordPress website and some knowledge on user experience. And as specific niches I work with, I have some experience working with e-commerce clients, with some websites in the publishing area, and I also like to work with NGOs. I go a lot to events as a personal hobby, so I've been to quite a few events and conferences, seminars, webinars, online, offline, in Romania, international, whatever. I've been to quite a few events, and also as hobbies, I like to listen to music and see movies, and when I travel, to read books. I don't read at home, but since I go moving around, I read
Mhm.
while I travel. So this is about.
Mhm. Nice, nice. We have a lot of people online right now, and many of them from different countries: Canada, India, Pakistan, Mali, many other countries. Guys, thanks a lot for taking your time to learn more about SEO. And I have the first question about difficulty of technical SEO. Can you tell, for example, when I check out websites with many different tools like Screaming Frog, Google Search Console, many others, I usually have a bunch of errors for any websites. Can you tell how to find critical errors that it's must have to fix? Because if web developers always reply, I can't fix all of them, but we need to fix critical errors. Can you tell how to divide them?
Yes, I have a few observations about this. So first is that some SEO tools are specifically made so that they would scare you. They earn their living by scaring visitors and not visitors, their users. So I go to a website. If I scan the website and it tells me I'm 98% correct and only two errors or something like that, I will feel I can ignore it. But if I scan a website and it tells me it had thousands of errors, all in red, a few of them in orange, all of them must be fixed, I will think, oh, this is a good tool. I must use this tool more because it gives me so many errors and I have to fix. I like this tool. So it's actually a paradox that when you use a tool, they are enticed and motivated to uh, tell you have problems. So just keep this in mind. And another thing I want to tell you is that I don't, for the few years from now, I cannot foresee how a person's place could be taken by a machine. So with the tool, you can get a lot of information, like what is the length of the meta title, what is the length of the meta description, does it have a meta title, does it have a meta description for a specific page, I mean. Okay, sitemap XML, is it large enough, does it contain most pages, does it contain links to indexable pages. A lot of things can be measured, and tools can tell you, look, you have a sitemap, it's pretty good, you are not linking to non-crawlable URLs, the meta description length is fine, and so on. But still you need a person's eye. So just by looking at the tool, which will give you, they will also give you a grade, because again, you will have to be motivated. If they tell you, look, we have found 5,000 errors, you won't know that if it's big or normal. But if they tell you you rank 76 out of 100, you will know, okay, I need to improve 25%. Okay, so coming back 1 second. Okay, let me think. I think I lost the idea.
Okay. For example, can you tell your loving list of SEO tools that I think all webmasters need to use, and how to choose priorities by fixing these errors on these specific tools?
Okay, one tool I recommend to buying to pretty much anyone is Screaming Frog. I like this tool very much. You can run it on your computer. It's not expensive, and since it only uses your own resources, like your computer, your internet, and so on, it doesn't have that much cost as an online tool. If you use okay, this is Screaming Frog is a tool for crawling a website, and it will tell you things like meta title, meta description, and so on. Okay, but there are tools for other uses. For example, if you want to do keyword research, a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, or if you want something relatively free or almost free, it's Google Keyword Tool and Google Trends. So these are for keyword research. If you want to do backlink analysis, tools like Ahrefs, Moz, Majestic, SEMrush are good for backlinks. If you want to analyze a website, like the structure, the tool I recommend the most is Screaming Frog, but there are others like Sitebulb, which is quite similar to Screaming Frog. And you could also use tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, and Moz to deep crawl to crawl a website. Okay, you asked me, the question was what I recommend using. So for crawling a website, I prefer Screaming Frog. I use it the most. For links, a combination of SEMrush and Ahrefs. For keyword research, I think most of them will do fine. Ahrefs, SEMrush, Google's keyword tool, they are pretty decent to the most thing. And I remember what I wanted to tell you earlier. I wanted to tell you that even if a tool can tell you, look, the meta description can have so and so length, it won't be able to tell you if the meta description is well made. It will tell you the length and perhaps if you use some keywords, but it will not know if you use the meta description properly, if the meta titles are fine. You still need a person's eye. So to answer your previous question, which I now remember, you shouldn't be scared about the priorities a tool tells you. You need to have experience in SEO to properly interpret the results, because the tools are motivated to tell you everything is red, you need to fix everything, you have a poor website, use our tool to become better. Don't trust this. Always have this skepticism in your mind. And okay, you will need to know as from your personal experience, what is important and what isn't. I can't give you like that your solution. What is important, what isn't. You need some reading on SEO and some experience with SEO stuff.
I think it's called SEO instinct, when you can't tell, but when you see in specific example, you can analyze and tell, yeah, it's very important. And okay, I have the question about learning these tools. Can you tell how to learn about these tools, how they work? Because I have a lot of students in my network who are asking me, please provide insights how to Screaming Frog, Google Search Console. Can you tell from your experience, for example, if you started from scratch, what will you do to learn more about these tools and to get all insights from them?
Okay. Um, if I were a student, I would try to create free accounts on as many tools as I can. I would create myself a blog. It's not that expensive to buy a domain. Buy some hosting, and at the beginning you don't need very expensive hosting, and you just try things out. You create a blog and you start blogging about something. And the Screaming Frog allows you to scan 500 URLs. When your blog is just at the beginning, you will likely not have 500 URLs, so you will fit in that. You can use it for free, actually. Other tools ask you for money for a trial, but you can still use some tools for a few days, like 2 weeks or 1 month, just to test them out. They give you a demo. Hrefs, if you connect your website with Hrefs, it allows you to scan 10,000 URLs per month for the URLs you can prove you own. So you cannot start scanning your competitors for free. But if you can prove that you own a website, you can scan, I think, 10,000 URLs in Hrefs for free. And there are other tools which this is what I would do. I would try to get a trial to use them for 2 weeks or 1 month for free and just start using and getting an idea. And also I would start experimenting with my own website. Okay, I've read let's say I've read two opinions about meta titles, and I'm not too convinced. Should I put the brand name at the beginning or at the end? Should I add emoticons in the meta title? Should I keep the meta titles to 60 characters, or should I add to 80 and allow Google to cut it? I would do all sorts of experiments like that because it's my own website. Another idea would be to try to connect an NGO, like an organization which does volunteering work, and telling them, look, I'm a student, I'm just learning myself, but I think I can help you. If you would let me try and do some experiments on your website, I would love to work for free on your website, as long as you give me the possibility to learn from what I am doing. And of course, you will do some mistakes and they will be upset perhaps, but I think they would mostly appreciate the fact that you are trying to do generally okay. And as soon as you discover that something is wrong, you will try to fix. I have some experience with doing this. I generally try and help NGOs which after a while I get to use how to do it properly. But in the beginning, I think I made some mistakes, and so it's either of this. You find some entity like a website who is willing to allow you to test on their behalf, or you create your website. Perhaps you try on an affiliate website. You try, for example, if you like books or movies or whatever, you can start writing reviews. I like this book because, and you write a very detailed review of a book, and you put an affiliate link and try to rank that page for queries related to affiliate. This is my opinion in how you should learn, just by trying and experimenting as many things as possible. And of course, you should read in the meantime. You should read blogs, books. They get old quite soon. If you read the book from 3 years from before, you will get some basic ideas, but you will get perhaps some ideas that don't work that well anymore. So I would read blogs, books to some degree, and perhaps like listen to podcasts and seeing videos like
Yeah,
yourself.
love it. Love it, love it. Okay, guys, it's better to learn because without learning, it's hard to go ahead. So, and I agree with you. You need to learn and test because we have short memory. We can forget anything for a few moments. For example, I can forget for a few hours if I've learned something without testing. I usually make notes. I can share with my audience and I can test it. So it helps to memorize. It helps to go ahead with that. So yeah, I agree completely with you. Can you tell about green line with page speed insights? is it important to optimize to get this green line? I mean, like, because many webmasters tell, I want to get 100%, how to do it, because I usually have like 50, 60%, I don't know. But I often see websites in the top 10 results that have red line, they rank well, they get traffic. But how is important from your experience to get this green line by page speed insights?
Okay. So a few things about this. Uh, let's say you want to start a website. If you want to
Mhm.
start a website, if you start right with the idea, I want to have a very fast website, you can do some things right from the beginning, like choosing a template which is fast, like choosing a hosting which is fast, like finding some solutions to improve your speed right from the beginning. This is an important aspect. If you want to have an old website which has sliders, which has some images, which are, for example, if you don't use external hosting for the images, CDN, and all sorts of stuff. If you want to optimize a website which is large, which has a lot of images, which all runs all sorts of JavaScript, CSS, and all stuff like that, it's not impossible to improve it, but it's very difficult. On the other hand, if you just start a website and you choose right from the beginning a template which is fast and you try to do it from the beginning, it's much easier. This is one observation. Another observation, one second, I have, okay, about the green light. There are two separate things. One is the grade which Google gives you at Google Page Speed Insights or Web Dev. It's the same tool. The Web Dev gives you more information also about user experience. Um, so this is one thing, the grade which Google gives you, and the other grade is the actual speed of your website, and it is not the same. You can have a website which has 30 on Google's speed and which loads actually very fast, not perhaps not uh, in 1 millisecond or so, whatever the speed, the normal speed.
Mhm.
It doesn't load extremely fast, but you can have a website which has red and 30 and still load quite fast. And I tend to measure it with tools like web page speed and
Mhm.
uh, Pingdom. There's another tool called Pingdom where you can select, I want to scan my website from Europe or from United
Mhm.
States or from another place, and they will give me the actual speed of the website. So if you separate the two things, the grade given by Google and the grade which actually shows how slow or fast your website moves, you will see that it's quite different. You can have a website which loads in 1 second or 2 seconds, which is perfectly fine in my opinion, and still have red or orange on Google's page speed. Which, for this reason, I would be quite skeptical about Google page speed. Another thing, um, Google's page speed, it's important for ranking, but it's still a quite minor importance. Google, as far as I know, tends to use it on mobile results. So if I search for a restaurant in New York, if I'm in New York on mobile, if I'm on the street, I'm looking for a restaurant, I want my website to load very fast. So for that reason, uh, Google tries to put more emphasis on loading the website fast on mobile. But if I search for a restaurant in New York while I'm at home with my broadband and I have all the time in the world and I open a lot of websites, I care less about the speed. So in this case, Google will not prioritize speed as much. As far as I know, Google tends to use the speed. For example, if you have two almost identical websites and one is a bit faster and one is a bit slower, in that case, for mobile, it will show the faster website a bit higher. But
Mhm.
um, it's not in my opinion, it's not an important ranking factor. Now, again, to your original question, does it matter to have a good grade on Google? Well, you have all sorts of criteria, but what I would do about the speed of a website is trying to find the low hanging fruits, the most important things which can be fixed easily. For example, let's say you have images which are not optimized, are not WebP, and are not on a CDN. Boom! If you have a solution to uh, quickly solve all the images, you will likely solve an important thing. let's say you use a slider on the homepage and it makes the the homepage load slower. If you consider that it's not worth it to use the slider just for the homepage, I would just remove the slider altogether from the homepage and instead show an image with the button. It's called the hero image. I would just show a hero image on the homepage and I would fix the issue. There are, if you want to go into details on speed, there are lots of criteria, but I try to give you a few perspective in how I see the page speed insights.
Got it. Yeah, valuable. So valuable. I have the question about the line between tools and manual job. For example, we can check out everything on tools. They are great. They provide a lot of insights, but something we need to check out manually. Can you tell? From my experience, for example, we usually check out, provide bug testing, because tools can't tell that something is wrong with website. Can you tell from your experience what we need to check out manually and how to do it?
Okay. One place which is very important, in my opinion, to check manually is that meta description and meta titles are properly made. And for this, the tool will only give you a few details, but they can't tell you about the quality of the titles and meta description. What I choose about the meta titles and meta description are the following. For the meta titles, to reflect what the page is about, to be a synthesis of what the page is about, to mention the brand if possible, and to have the use of important keywords in the meta title. Okay. For the meta description, it must entice me to click on it. What I do is generally I use a tool called I search from. I am searching from. So the tool goes isearchfrom.com. It allows you to mimic how a person from another part of the world would use would search in their respective countries. So if you want to see how a New Yorker searches for laptops or promotions for eBay, I can use this tool I search from. I would choose, look, I'm searching from New York. I would type the queries laptop in New York, and I can see exactly what a person in New York would see regarding ads. I can see the ads from New York, and I use this tool quite a lot to find out what the ads for Google Ads are in different parts of the world, to see, okay, if some people use for Google Ads some keywords. In other parts of the world, they use other keywords. They use like specific reasons to click. I can search, of course, in my own country. If I just type laptops in Romania, I will find out a list of Google Ads, and it's pretty decent. But I use this tool quite a lot, I search from, to find some cool text, like cool reasons to click on the ad. So for titles and meta descriptions are the clicks. Okay. Let me think. For speed, I need to look at the list of the suggestions a tool like Google PageSpeed will give me and try to prioritize the most important one. I can't give you a template for what to do, how to fix it. I would just tell you, try and first decide, look at the items Google will give you. They will give you some information about some specific things to improve. But if you actually try to implement those things, you will see that some things require a lot of changes and a lot of time, and some things are easy to implement and can be fixed very easily. In this case, perhaps it's better to start with the things which are easy to implement and leave the things which are take longer to implement at the end. Okay, you asked me about things which need to check. Let's say I want to check meta description for a page. Some tools will not tell me if the page uses 2 meta descriptions or perhaps even 3. There are some websites which by mistakes have 1 meta description, and if you go a bit lower, they have another meta description. The same, and the text differs, but they use the same tag. And some tools will just tell you, look, this is the meta description. In this case, you either use a tool which tells you about this information, or you manually check. Okay, let's see in the code, let's look meta name equal description. Let's find this out, and to make sure that the things don't give errors. for important things, it's better to do a double check, because some tools might occasionally give you some false positive or things like that. So they will tell you everything is fine, but when you check it yourself, it's not that fine. Also, I would look in Google Search Console. In Google Search Console, you will see some things which Google tries to inform you about as a webmaster. I will look, for example, at crawl errors. They will go to indexing issues, and they will tell you, okay, for this and this and these reasons, we have not indexed some pages on your website. And if you go through the list, you might find, look, this is an interesting URL. How did Google got to find that URL? I didn't even know I had this URL on the web page. And if you go to the Google Search Console list of non-indexable URLs, you might find, okay, look, I didn't know about this. I have some URLs on my website I'm not even aware of. Perhaps I should investigate further. Google Analytics. Google has all the data. It's all there for them, but they don't give you the interpretation. You have to go into Google Analytics and try to interpret things as best as you can. So even if Google can give you all the details that you need, you still have to put the work and be able to interpret the data for Google Analytics as best as you can.
I have the question about website builders. Some of them, it's hard to fix technical errors when you use Wix, Shopify, many others. What webmasters need to do if they have this limit because of website builders, because they can't fix these technical errors, but they can see them?
I would first change they can't fix. I want to challenge a bit. They can't fix the error. I will give you this trick. You will surely have heard about it, but I want to mention it anyhow. So let's say you have a page, and for one reason or another you can't edit it, but you can. Let's say, for the sake of the argument, let's say that you can add a JavaScript. How about you let the page load exactly as you would expect, the normal page, and after the page loads, you put a JavaScript which changes the title, the description, the indexation. Perhaps it adds some text to the page, or it removes it, or it whatever. I would keep this as an asterisk for a page with I generally can't edit. I would consider, is it possible still perhaps to add a JavaScript which would edit the title, the description, and some other important things via JavaScript. I would just consider if this is possible. Okay, coming back to your original question, which said we can't change anything. Okay. I encountered this quite a lot in banking industry in Romania, where you go to a bank and say, I want to make a minor change which will help you definitely. And they will tell you, okay, we have to get approval from corporate office, and this will take 3 months. And the minor change will take 3 months to implement, even if it's a simple one. In this case, what I would consider is I would create a blog on that website. And okay, in that blog, let me create content, let me embed videos, let me add the texts and whatever. And in that page, allow me to add things which would make the website load faster, allow me to add content, allow visitors to comment on the website. If for a reason or another, the website completely doesn't allow to do anything, and also you can't add the blog, in this case, I would make a separate website and play with it. Just for, okay, so if I want to help the brand and say, okay, I want to create a podcast, I want to create a series of articles on a subject, I want to interview something, and I cannot do it on the website, okay, I would prefer to create a blog on that website. If I cannot do it, I would create a blog on a different website and get links from the blog to the main website. This is one thing I would do. And the second one, I would focus on getting links. Okay, you can't do too many things on a technical aspect of a website. For corporate reasons, for all sorts of reasons, they don't allow you to do the changes. Okay, get links to that website. You can't do it internally. Make so that others speak about you, and Google would notice it. So two things: content marketing and get links to the website.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Can you tell about duplicate content? For example, if some CMS uh, creates this duplicate content, and it's hard to fix because of features that we have on this CMS, what we can do, for example, if I can't use 301 redirect, how to tell Google to ignore these pages, or do we need to ignore them because some of them can get natural backlinks, what do you think, what to do today, right now, yeah, about that?
Okay. So there are more things about this. It's a hypothetical situation, and there are all bets are on. Okay, so if it's a 100% duplicate page, I would try the usual suspects. You said you can't do 301 redirect, but perhaps you could do a rel canonical. You could do perhaps a rel canonical via JavaScript injection. Perhaps you could just mention on the page, if it's a 100% duplicate, if you could just link at the top or at the bottom of the page, tell Google, look, this is a link to the original article, and link from the page to the other article. Also, I would try to, if you have two pages and for one reason or another you cannot remove one of them, I would try to link internally from the page, from the website, to just one. So I would look through all the pages on the website, and if they link to A and B at the same time, I would try to fix. Just link to the first page and ignore the links to the second one. So I would find the star, I would pick one randomly if they're identically 100%, and I would add all my focus to the page A. For that page, I would add links, perhaps point via 301, rel canonical. I would perhaps for the page B do things like block it via robots, do a no index, whatever. Okay. Also, if I would mention another website, if it gets the occasion to mention a page on other websites, I would always focus on page A. Okay. This is one thing I would do about technical SEO stuff. About content, I would consider making the pages different. If it's possible to add a certain angle, if I would focus on one page, I would add more content to that page. And if I don't want the second page to rank, perhaps I would remove some text from that page, or just leave it as it is, but just ignore it on the long run. And also, as a final point, I want to tell that as long as Google shows at least one of the two pages, I don't find it as a big issue. What I do find as a big issue is when you have a lot of pages on the website which are duplicate and 100%, let's say. If it's just one case or 10 cases or whatever, a small number of pages on our website with duplicate content, I wouldn't worry about it that much. If you have a lot of pages and it happened on a systemic scale, so a lot of pages, 25% of your pages are duplicate, in this case you will try to find a solution because it's important, and Google will just be confused. Why should I crawl this website if it gives me two different URLs with the same page? I would at some point just stop crawling.
Yeah, nice, love it. We have the great question from Sanjay about indexing. I want to know more about that because I have a few websites, my clients, and they have plus 100,000 pages, a lot of them, and how to control the crawl budget, because when we want to rank all these pages, many of them are important, they can cover long tail keywords, but it's hard to do it because Google needs time to check out all these pages. Can you tell how to increase indexing on Google? And I know that the indexing is not the final issue, of course we need traffic, but how we can get traffic if Google doesn't see many pages with high quality and valuable content?
Okay, so I would view it as two separate things. One is the technical aspects. The technical aspects for indexing are: make sure in no way or another you are blocking pages on your website. So there can be many traps. I cannot go through all of them, but make sure that if you perhaps try to simulate your website via Screaming Frog. Run your website through Screaming Frog and see if Screaming Frog can successfully run from one page to another on the whole website. Look on Google Search Console. Google Search Console will report to you. Look, you have some issues, and this is what Google will tell you. We have some issue, and I cannot go from page A to page B. In this case, try to fix the errors. Okay. So the first thing, make sure there are absolutely no blocking of pages, and Google and other bots can go from page to page without any problem. Okay. The second thing I would focus, okay, try to make the content as relevant and as specific to the query as possible. So the first one was the technical aspect, and the second one is on the human perspective. Try to make your content on a website as friendly to the user as possible. If a user searches for something and Google will show you on the third place, and they will go to the website and see if they like it or not, some other things will happen than just the visit. They will give links if they like the page. They will come back to the website. They will recommend it to others. Some of these actions Google might see and Google might not see. So if someone leaves a mention on Facebook, perhaps Google will ignore it. If someone leaves a link on Twitter, perhaps Google will see that link. It's less important, this aspect, but what matters is you give the visitors of your website such a thrilling experience that they want to recommend your website to other people. So for this purpose, I would try to make the pages on your website so relevant that others want to link to. And once you have this, you will likely get into a spiral where more people will visit your website, where Google will rank you higher, where you will get more references, and so on. So regarding your question about indexing, two major things. Don't block anything, and make the content very relevant so that people will naturally recommend you.
Yeah, interesting. I have the question about the future of SEO. Can you tell how to forecast the future? Do we need to consider SEO today, for example, if we started from scratch, if we have no traffic, and it's fierce competition, extremely competitive niche, but we still have the room to jump on this field? Can you tell for new projects how it's important today to consider SEO because of the future? What do you think?
Okay. I like this quote. It says the predictions are very hard to make, especially those related to the future. So I will make some predictions related to the futures, but bear in mind that these are the hardest one to make. I like the most the predictions about the past. Okay. Joking aside, okay. So what are some things to consider about SEO and how will they influence our work? My perspective on this is the following. I think more and more artificial intelligence will play a role in how SEO will be done. So, for example, if right now you have a website and you have to write content, you put titles, you put H1s, you put alt text to images, you create links between the pages, you create a structure of a menu, you try to make the website load fast. There are all sorts of criteria like that. Right now, you try to do this manually. As time will pass, what I am expecting is that more and more of these things will be done automatically. I read something about, which was quite funny, is that artificial intelligence will likely affect in the first stages. So the people's job who will likely be affected by artificial intelligence are actually the programmer's job. So the programmers the people who write code work in a very systemic way. They have an issue and they find a solution and they publish the code. But because they know themselves so well, they can write algorithms for artificial intelligence to write that code for them. So harder to replace will be jobs like nurses or people who do manual work, like all sorts of things which are harder to done by software and so on. But if you have computer writing code, that's easy to make. And the people who write artificial intelligence are people who understand the way people program and write code. And for this reason, what I expect is that people doing various small parts of artificial intelligence for marketing, I think we'll do more and more of this stuff, and they will start to actually with things like marketing jobs. So I think we're some of if we do a lot of manual stuff and things which are repeatable and easy to put in a process, and we are not doing things like strategy and things like higher value added to the client, I think our jobs are more likely to be threatened by AI jobs. This is one prediction of the future I have.
Okay, got it. Yeah, valuable. Love it. Olivian, it's a big pleasure to get on my show to learn from you. Tell our audience how they can reach out to you, learn more about you, follow you.
Okay, you see my name, Olivian Breda. If you just type Olivian, I am quite well with branding my name. But if you type Olivian Breda, you can find me online. Unfortunately, I have a blog post on my blog in which I write about how to do photocopies cheap in Bucharest. And people used to call me, "Hey, Olivian, how do you do this?" They think so. I wrote a blog post recommending a business. I did it specifically for free, and I wanted to help them. And people started calling me and asked me how much does it cost to photocopy. And imagine you're in the middle of the day and someone calls you like that. So I removed my phone from online because people would call me for all sorts of reasons. But you can find my email on my blog, olivian.ro. And you will find, if you just search for Olivian Breda, which you see on the screen, you will find a lot of presence of mine wherever network you like. I'm pretty much on a lot of networks. I have a bias towards TikTok. I think as a personal preference, it's I might be confused, but I'm not a big fan of TikTok. But in other networks like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and many others, you will find me if you just search my name. And I have a French, very unusual name, let's call it, as you said at the beginning. So it's likely I'm the one who will find when you type Olivian Breda and not others, because it's a very unusual name.
Okay, guys, if you listen on audio podcast, you can find all these links to social media in the description below. Listen us on Apple, Google, Spotify. Thanks again for your time. A big pleasure, Olivian. You share a lot of valuable insights. Love it. Welcome back anytime to provide more insights. And thanks, guys, for listening and watching us.
Thank you for inviting me.